The formula movie of a character who fails consistently but wants to win the heart of his girlfriend attracted the heads of Warner Brothers Studio in Hollywood. The Warner Brothers, Harry and Albert, had raced bicycles in their 1890s youth in Youngstown, Ohio. In Hollywood in 1934, their studio released the comedy SixDay Bike Rider.
A lot of the riders had gone specifically to Hollywood to be in this movie. It was a chance to work, it was a chance to ride. Apparently they didn't get paid much, but it was work.
It starred Joey Brown in what critics rated as one of his best performances. The movie also showcased pros including McNamara and a young New Yorker named Frank Turano, hired to ride as Brown's double in velodrome scenes.
I got a contract with Warner Brothers and I got $250 a week for 18 weeks. And that was big money. And I did all the stunts. And every stunt, the studio paid me $60 for the stunt. And there was a couple times there that I really risked my neck.
The movie packed the theaters. It pumped new public enthusiasm for the Sixes. Willie Spencer noticed a resurgence in 6 Days and organized another group of outlaws. He recruited pros to ride in the Sixes in Montreal and Toronto, then Vancouver, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. The riders Spencer had under contract included Jimmy Walthour, recently returned from competing in Europe. Jimmy persuaded Spencer to sign up a pair of German riders from Dortmund named Gustav Gillian and Heinz Woppel.
We can't talk about six-day racing without mentioning these two German stars. Each was a very strong rider, and they both got along very well. They were well coordinated, so that made for a formidable combination.
They joined a crew of Canadians, including William Peden of Vancouver, whose fiery red hair that blew back as he rode inspired the nickname Torchy, and his younger brother Doug. Others were the blonde-haired Jules Oddie of Toronto and Al Crossley of Boston. New York newspaper reporter Harry Mendel had covered cycling as New Jersey's national sport and started as Chapman's publicity assistant in 1926. In the early 1930s, Chapman handed the Chicago Six over to Mendel.
For the majority of years that I rode professionally, we rode 6 days, Harry Mendel was the promoter. And Harry was, he also promoted, he was the manager of Joe Louis, behind Joe Louis. And he had a lot of good, his foot was in the door in Chicago and Buffalo and New York, of course. He had no trouble getting publicity.
Chapman, now in his 50s and worth several millions, had finally married. He preferred to travel with his wife when they weren't at their College Park, Georgia farm with 300 head of cattle or a mansion in Summit, New Jersey. He left it to Mendel to battle with Willie and the Outlaws. Spencer's crew made up the B circuit compared with Chapman's A circuit that Mendel had inherited. Rivalry between the A circuit stars and the B circuit outlaws inspired Mendel to let them duke it out for top honors in the Chicago Stadium 6 Day. Killian and Voepel won with 4 laps ahead of the A circuit stars of Norman Hill of San Jose, California, and Jerry Rodman of Chicago. Soon the 6 Day circuit rolled into New York's Garden. Killian and Voepel won again with fellow B circuit outlaws Jimmy Walthour and his partner Crossley in second, and Peden and Oddie in third.
Mendel had all the top names. He had the Killian and Voepels. He had the Bateses, the Laturners, George Eddies.
Mendel had consolidated his hold on the best riders.